And so we find ourselves contemplating a paradox that has puzzled seekers for countless ages, this inner current of profound earthly desire. And the great irony is that as your inner awareness expands, as you become more conscious of the whole pattern, the more intensely this current seems to flow. Now, why is this? Why does the one who gazes most intently at the stars also feel the pull of the earth most deeply? Let us explore for a moment the nature of what is unfolding here. And I invite you to set aside any expectation of a comfortable answer. For this is about seeing the entire tapestry, not just the threads we prefer to admire. The first thing to realize is this. When you begin to awaken spiritually, when you start to perceive the dance of life for what it is, you do not become less human. You become exquisitely, vibrantly more human. Your awareness opens to everything. The divine, yes, but also to the rich, dark soil, the sacred and the wild, the angel and the animal within. You could see it in this way. Before awakening, life was like walking through a gentle dream. Your senses were muted, and your awareness was veiled in a soft mist. But to awaken is to have the volume of existence turned all the way up. Suddenly, the song of a single bird becomes an orchestra. The taste of your food becomes a symphony. The feeling of the sun on your skin is a deep and resonant warmth. And so, naturally, the river of desire flows with a newfound and astonishing power. This is the key. A heightened spiritual sensitivity amplifies the entire spectrum of experience. When you open your inner eye, you do not open it only to the heavens. You open it to the full, dazzling, and sometimes overwhelming dance of being human. The very same sensitivity that allows you to feel a boundless presence also makes you aware of the body's vibrant song. The same consciousness that perceives the beauty of the cosmos also perceives the beauty of the earth, with a shocking, breathtaking intensity. The wisdom of old sometimes missed this point. They held the belief that awakening would quiet the voice of the flesh. But it is precisely the opposite. A truly awake being feels everything more deeply. The peaks of joy and the depths of sorrow, the quiet stillness and the restless longing. This expansive awareness that comes with growth does not erase your humanity. It simply allows you to experience it all more fully. And so you find yourself, a seeker of the infinite, suddenly feeling the powerful, rhythmic pulse of life itself. Than ever before, and you mistake this rising tide for a sign that something is amiss, that you are drifting backward. But in truth, you are simply becoming more attuned to the music of existence, more aware, more finely woven into life's tapestry. So the question is not how to silence this feeling, but how to be with the wave as it passes, without being swept away by it. Now, let us consider the second current in this river. And this one is a truth that often stings to acknowledge. Those whose inner eyes begin to open, those who are awakening, often walk a path of solitude. Not because they are superior to anyone, but because the world is now reflected to them in a different mirror. The old conversations seem to fade. The exchange of gossip feels like an empty echo. The endless chatter about trivialities becomes a profound noise. The great and serious pursuit of status, of wealth, and of appearances now seems like a marvelous and intricate game played by children in a dream. And so, a quiet parting occurs. And in this gentle drifting apart, one finds oneself in a vast open space. And this aloneness is a unique kind of spiritual hunger. When there is no one to reflect your inner world, when there is no one who can see the landscape that you now perceive, when you carry insights that would seem like madness to the sleeping world, you feel a sense of otherness that runs deep, and desire may then appear as a bridge back to the human shore. Even if it is a bridge woven from mist, even if it is a connection with no real substance, it feels, at least, like something. For a fleeting moment, the great silence is broken. The simple presence of another body, the brief meeting of another's gaze. For that short measure of time, the immense weight of being separate seems to dissolve. Do you see the beautiful, poignant trap? The very path that draws you to the ocean of truth also pulls you from the familiar coast. And the ancient, creaturely part of you cries out for simple contact, for touch, for the warmth of another soul. And desire offers a clever imitation of this communion. It whispers a promise of union, but often delivers a more profound sense of isolation. Because when the momentary music fades, you are alone once more, in a silence that now feels even deeper. This is the secret struggle of so many who have walked this path. The monks, the mystics, and the holy men and women through the ages who have wrestled in the quiet with this primal pulse. They turned from the world to seek the divine, and they found it, yes, but they also found a crushing sense of solitude. And desire came knocking at the door of that quiet room, offering a fleeting dance, a momentary companionship. The third reason is perhaps the most subtle. When you begin to awaken from the shared dream, you become a quiet disturbance to those still sleeping. Not to people as such, you see, though the reflection is sometimes seen in them too. But you become a disturbance to the currents that keep the world in its slumber. Call them what you will. Shadows, if you like, the great inertia of the night, or simply the momentum of the collective dream that plays out as most human life. Whatever name you give these currents, they do not favor awakening. They do not encourage clear seeing. They do not wish for you to spread this light of awareness to others. And so a pressure is felt. It probes for the unsealed places. It seeks to draw you back into the mists of the dream, back into the waking trance, back into the endless turning of the wheel, of grasping and wanting and never finding fullness. Desire is a magnificent tide for this purpose. And why is this? Because it is so very effective. It truly does pull the mind back into the unwaking state. When you are caught in the fever of this deep wanting, when this fire is coursing through you, the clear sky of the mind is clouded. You cannot simply be still. The silence is lost. You cannot rest in that quiet, open space where truth whispers. You are drawn entirely into the dance of the body, into sensation, into the urgency of wanting something now. And so, the resistance feels stronger and stronger as your own awareness grows. Not because you have taken a wrong turn on the path, but precisely because you are doing something true. You are opening your eyes. And the great, deep sleep does not release its dreamers without a gentle pull. This is what the old myths mean when they speak of a war in the heavens. It is not just a metaphor. It is not merely poetry. It is the living, breathing experience of anyone who tries to be present in an abstracted world. The tension is real. The opposing current is real, and desire is one of its most favored channels because its flow is so terribly powerful. The fourth reason concerns the echoes of old wounds, deep, resonant wounds, wounds we carry from the dawn of our lives, from the feeling of rejection, from the breaking of trust, from all the ways the river of life has shaped us before we even knew we were in the water. Most people move through their days never gazing at these imprints. They are too tender, too filled with ghosts. But when you begin the process of waking, you start to see their reflections. You begin to feel their resonance now. All the old music rises to the surface, the sense of abandonment, the cloak of shame, the deep fear of being unloved, the quiet story that you are not whole. And so, the play unfolds. A fleeting desire offers to quiet the echoes of old sorrows. It presents itself as a momentary comfort. When you are caught in the current of this wanting, in this dance of pursuit, the memory of the ache recedes for a time. You feel seen. You feel the pulse of life. And for a fleeting moment, a whisper suggests you are whole, just as you are. Yet this is a beautiful illusion. This passing wave does not heal the ocean's depths. It merely veils them for a moment. It is like placing a silken cloth over a wound that has not been cleansed. The source of the dis-ease remains, and often deepens, for now a shadow of shame has been cast upon it. Now there is the awareness of this game of using and being used, a mirror reflecting a mirror. And so, another ripple of disturbance is added to the waters of the original ache. The one whose eyes are beginning to open perceives this entire pattern. They see the original wound. They watch the wave of desire rise to conceal it. They witness the shadow that follows in its wake. They perceive the entire turning of the wheel. And this perception, you see, does not bring the turning to a halt. At times, this very seeing can feel heavier, for now you are a conscious actor in a play you wish to leave. You are aware of the nature of the snare, even as your foot falls gently into it. To truly tend to these old echoes requires a different path entirely. It asks that you turn and face them, to sit in their presence, allowing them to be, without seeking refuge in distraction or illusion. This is a profound undertaking, perhaps the most profound of all, and many, even those who have glimpsed the nature of things, might prefer the familiar dance with desire than to sit in the quiet stillness of healing. For desire offers its fleeting sparks of light, no matter how brief they may be. The work of stillness, at first, offers only the thing you were running from, at least in the beginning. Now, the fifth aspect of this is the most curious paradox. The very qualities that open you to the cosmos also leave you open to the earth. When your senses are finely tuned, when you can feel the subtle music of existence, when the illusion of separation dissolves, you are vibrating in a wider field of awareness. Your consciousness has expanded. Your sense of self is as vast as the sky, but you are still rooted in the earth. You are still breathing, pulsing flesh. You are still moved by the ancient tides and hungers of the body. And here is the delightful irony. The more you expand into the boundless heavens, the more profoundly you feel the pull of the solid earth. It is as if life itself seeks a perfect equilibrium, as if the very flowering of the spirit invites an equally powerful return to the root, to the wonderfully physical. And so we observe this curious paradox in those who guide the spirit, how seers and visionaries, adrift in the cosmos, can become entangled in the currents of earthly desire. It is not a matter of hypocrisy, you see, nor a question of their spiritual gifts being a mere illusion, but rather the meeting of immense spiritual energy with a physical nature that has not been invited to the dance, creating a profound imbalance. Imagine a great tree reaching for the heavens, but with roots that do not drink from the earth. The taller it grows, the more thunderous its return to the ground. The answer, then, is a kind of harmony. But this is not the discipline of the clenched fist, the sort that feels like a cage. It is, instead, the gentle art of tending to the entire garden, spirit and soil, mind and the river of life. One cannot simply soar through the boundless sky and forget the good, solid earth beneath one's feet. To sit in silent contemplation is beautiful, but the body, too, has its own silent prayer. This vessel asks to be honored, to be nourished, to move with the rhythm of existence, to be granted the deep peace of rest, the warmth of true connection, and the freedom of its own creative song. When this symphony is complete, the pull of craving softens. But when the music is silenced or ignored, this craving becomes a roar, a desperate grasping, for it is trying to fill an echoing emptiness. So what is one to do with this? How do we live within this strange and wonderful dance of heightened spiritual awareness and the deep, powerful currents of the body? To begin, let us cease the game of pretending this polarity isn't real, this play of opposites. Let us release the idea that a spiritual person must float above this beautiful, messy world. The body is real. Its tides are real. And to dance with a real partner, you must first acknowledge their presence. Then we cease this lonely waltz. The sense of separation is the very architecture of the trap. This deep yearning finds its strength in the shadows. It expands in the silent, hidden places. When we find but one other soul with whom we can be open, someone who will not hold up a mirror of judgment, but will simply stand in that space with us, the spell begins to dissolve. Not through some magic of confession, but because the illusion of being alone is what nourishes the ghost. And finally, we attend to the source of the ache. This means allowing the sensation of pain to be present instead of running from its weather. It means feeling the vastness of solitude instead of trying to fill it with fleeting echoes. It means gazing upon the old memories of being left behind and allowing them to be seen and held in awareness. It is a tender process, to be sure, but it is the only journey that truly brings one home. Fourth, we learn to sit with this energy, this desire, without becoming the instrument of its will. And this, you see, may be the most delicate dance of all. For when this powerful current arises within you, the mind instinctively pushes or pulls. But both are a kind of violence against the flow of what is. To indulge it is to find the hollowness that follows a fleeting wave. To suppress it is to dam a river that will inevitably burst its banks. But there is another way. A path of simply allowing the feeling to be. To feel its warmth, its fire, without the compulsion to do anything about it. To simply notice how it crests and then recedes, just like a wave upon the shore. To watch it as you would a summer storm from a quiet window. Now, this requires a profound sort of courage, for it is in this silent space, this presence without interference, that true alchemy occurs, not because you are wrestling with the desire, but because you are neither clinging to it nor pushing it away. You are merely the witness. And in the stillness of that witnessing, the energy itself begins to transform. And finally, we arrive at a great remembering that you are not the battle. You are not the desire, nor the echo of shame it leaves behind. You are the silent awareness in which this whole play of feeling unfolds. You are the vast open sky, and these feelings are merely clouds passing through. The storms may rage for a time, the clouds may gather and darken, and then they dissolve. But the sky itself remains untouched, ever present. When you can rest as this sky, even for a single breath, the inner conflict loses its power to define you. Yes, the feeling may still visit. The current may still flow. The apparent struggle might continue its dance, but you are no longer lost in its choreography. You no longer believe the story that this passing storm is the whole of who you are. For the one who is awakening grapples with this energy not from a place of failure, but from a place of profound awareness. They are awake enough to feel the raw, untamed energy of what it is to be human. Sensitive enough to feel every tide, every impulse, every deep-seated hunger. And often, they feel this intensity in solitude, without a map or a guide who truly understands. And yet, this very struggle, as tumultuous as it may seem, becomes the great teacher. It illuminates the tender places within that call for gentle healing. It reveals a deep yearning for authentic connection, not the fleeting shadows we so often chase. It brings a profound humility, reminding us that we are not separate from this beautiful, messy dance of life. And through this, it can open the heart to a boundless compassion for every other soul, navigating the very same currents of desire, the same human frailties. This so-called battle is not a mark of spiritual failure. On the contrary, it is often the very signpost of your unfolding, a sign that you are growing into the full paradoxical mystery of being both boundless spirit and transient flesh. A dance of the divine and the animal, both awake and yet still dreaming, learning to feel the currents of what this awakening means. So, flow gently with yourself. See the struggle for what it is. Welcome the wisdom of others. Let your inner silence mend you. Practice being the silent witness to your desires, letting them pass like clouds in the sky. And remember in the quiet spaces that you are never truly alone in this dance. Every mystic, every sage, every soul who has truly seen has sailed this very same ocean. The body is a fleeting wave, yes, But the spirit, when you listen to it, is the whole sea, vaster than any temporary current. And the awareness that watches both the wave and the sea is the silent sky that holds it all.